Oklahoma City.
The views and opinions expressed and/or the representation of products advertised on the following program do not necessarily represent those of KTLV or its management.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy good morning to you wherever you are. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is being brought to you by your all-state exclusive neighborhood agent, Marilyn Hildred. If it's insurance you need, call Marilyn, 843-0811. 843-0811. This is Black History Month. So the story goes, so the years will roll. And each year in February, this nation, our nation, will celebrate Black History Month. This month will serve as a proper recognition of the contributions of blacks. This month, we will look at Black history as a part of American history. And it grew out of a historical necessity in 1926 by one man, Carter G. Woodson, who is known as the father of Black history. And 50 years later, in 1976, Congress officially declared February as Black History Month. This month gives America an opportunity to look over the road that blacks have traveled, to be inspired by the courage and determination of those men and women who have made a difference in the face of extraordinary difficulties. Black History Month is critical in filling the elements of our history. It is designed to give all a full understanding of how our history has been shaped. Black History Month gives us an opportunity to learn about those who have enriched our history. It goes beyond the courage, beyond the inspiration of a people. It tells the story of a people who refused to let the 3.5 centuries of discrimination, of slavery, turn them around. And we are happy today to bring to you our Black History Special. This special is brought to you by Johnson's Shardina's Daycare Center, located at 1643 Northeast 50th Street. The telephone number is 424-4656. So you work at night and you want someone to take care of your children. You don't have to worry anymore. Mrs. Gloria Matthews and Mr. Paul Matthews, the owners of Johnson Shardina's Daycare Center, say they'll be happy to help you. Take this telephone number, 424-4656, and be sure and tell them that you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show. Dr. A.L. Dow would like to join in saluting you during Black History Month. He wants to make sure that you are able to read well, and you might need some glasses. Call 235-0536 and ask for Dr. A.L. Dow, your optometrist, my optometrist, Dr. A.L. Dow. Joining in celebrating Black History Month is Hometown IGA, located at 2001 Northeast 23rd Street here in Oklahoma City. Open 24 hours for your shopping convenience. Hometown IGA in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, serving the people in Northeast Oklahoma. Shopping is always at the head of your calendar, so why don't you go to Elite Repeat, 7308 Northwestern in Oklahoma City. The telephone number is 848-1595, and if you would call, they would tell you about the bargains that they have just for you. Elite Repeat, 7308 Northwestern in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and this is a Black History Special. All over this nation, people are gathering to celebrate Black history. And this morning I've come to reaffirm my identity as a Black American. I am a product of the blending of both Black and white cultures. My Blackness is integrated into the fabrics of American culture. And when by Blackness is taken out of the American culture, it would look like a piano without black keys. I recognize no American culture which is not the partial creation of Black people's intelligence, discipline, and love for one's work. I am a Black American. I did not come here this morning to talk about Black awareness. I'm talking about American awareness. An awareness that fit into the total pattern and the total scheme of American history. To my white brothers, you are deeply involved in Black history. Many of you fell in love by listening to the music of Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, James Brown, Nat King Cole, and others. Black people did not develop as a people in isolation. Black people developed within the context of white people, and white people developed within the context of Black people. Now today, as we look at Black history, let me remind you that a poor man is a poor man whether he's Black or white. And therefore, we can no longer get a sense of satisfaction out of just saying that I'm white, I'm Black. But as far as America is concerned, we are all Americans, and we must constantly remind ourselves how much we need each other. We need to be building bridges in order that each one of us can cross over. I would like for you to call me this morning, and the first person I call with the correct answer, I'm going to give you $1 this morning. I don't know what you can buy with $1, but I want you to tell me the name of the first Black member of the House of Representatives in the state of Oklahoma. The telephone number is 672-1220, and call me and let me know the name of the first Black member of the House of Representatives. That will be a pre-appreciation musical on Saturday, February the 20th at 6 o'clock p.m. This musical will be held at the Greater Mount Olive Baptist Church, 1020 Northeast 42nd Street in Oklahoma City. It will be presented on Saturday, February the 20th at 6 o'clock p.m. The 6 choirs of the church will be participating. 6 choirs, the mass choir, the male choir, the senior, the young adults, the youth, the cheer, all will be participating. Now, many of you would like to have further information. Call Mrs. Lily Buckner at 427-1513. Now, just remember, this is a pre-appreciation musical that will be held at the Mount Olive Baptist Church here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We like to talk about musicals, and when you think about musicals, you can always think about something different at the Tabitha Baptist Church. The Tabitha Baptist Church Mass Choir's annual solo festival will be Sunday, February the 4th at 3 p.m., and that's tomorrow. A solo festival. Listen to some of the featured soloists: Larissa Shelton, Cynthia Kilpatrick, Vernon Preston, Krista Tucker, Johnny Kendrick, Arlington Baker, Emmett Grayson, and others. Through the years, the Tabitha Baptist Church Mass Choir has been known throughout the state as being a multi-talented, spirit-filled group of singers that just love to praise the Lord. Shirley Logans is a minister of music, and Deacon Robert L. Gates is the Mass Choir president. Now, Shirley Logans and Robert L. Gates invite you, the entire public, to come to the feast where contemporary songs and traditional gospel hymns will be rendered by these gifted soloists. Reverend J.L. Mitchell is the pastor of the Tabitha Baptist Church. Now, I don't want you to get these confused. See, you go to Tabitha on February the 14th, and then you go to Mount Olive on February the 20th. Now, Tabitha's solo festival is on Sunday. That's on Valentine's Day, and you can take your sweetheart there and feast on the music. What a feast. Remember, you are invited. I want you to call me, you know Black history, and tell me the name of the first Black representative, state representative from Oklahoma. Today is a Black History special, and I've certainly enjoyed the past week because so many of you just give me so many opportunities. I had the opportunity this week to go to Emerson's Alternative Education Center here in Oklahoma City. The principal of that school, the beautiful talent Ann Allen, gave us a tremendous welcome, and it was out of sight. Well, the first call I have received, someone say it was Archibald Hill. You are wrong. Archibald Hill was not the first Black Oklahoma representative. You should know your history. If you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you will have to go. Now, at Emerson, the program was dedicated to the memory of Thurgood Marshall, the first Black justice of the United States Supreme Court. The auditorium was packed. The colors were posted by Orlando Cole, D.B. Buckler, and Paul Richardson. Jennifer Brower led in a Pledge of Allegiance. There was an inspirational skit by 5 of the young students. It was a total involvement with musical selections, and then a warm welcome by Christine Logan. And I was introduced as a guest speaker by Ardia Williams. And I was presented with the most beautiful heart you have ever seen. It was a heart that signified love and respect, and was presented to me, and I'm very grateful to you, Brian Barkins, and others for this outstanding presentation. And I'm very grateful to that Black History Committee at Emerson School that consisted of Mrs. Miriam Tiger and Mrs. Donna Hunter, who served as the chairperson and the co-chairperson of that event. They called it the African American History Month Committee, and they thanked everybody, and there were a large number of parents and also friends that were present. My next stop was at Francis Tuttle, and I want you to go out to Francis Tuttle because I want you to see that vocational school. I want you to see people preparing for the 21st century. It was an experience. I had the opportunity to watch the young business leaders as they went through their agenda. And then I was introduced by Brent Gooden, one of the first white students that I taught at Northwest Classen. Today is a great day because today we are talking about Black history. I've just received a call that Melvin Porter was the first Black representative. Let me tell you, Porter has never been a state representative. We've got to know our history. Unless you know where you have been, you don't know where you have to go. Many of you have those X's on, which indicate that you are a believer like Malcolm X in Black history. But if you don't know your history, you are jiving. I'm asking the question again: who was the first Black state representative in the state of Oklahoma? And I'm waiting for an answer. Call me now so I can announce your name and give you that $1. I don't know what you can buy with $1 nowadays. You can tell me. Buy whatever you want it to. On Tuesday night, I had the opportunity to witness another Black history presentation. It was time for Central State, the University of Central Oklahoma, to select that one young lady that will represent the university in the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant, June 20th through the 26th. And ladies and gentlemen, I know this will make the people in Oklahoma City very happy. The lovely, talented Monet Booker won Miss Black University of Central Oklahoma. With all of the prizes, with all of the opportunity, with all of the prestige that goes along with it. Congratulations to Monet Booker of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, for winning Miss Black University of Central Oklahoma. The pageant was directed by Miss Sonia Carter, one of the great leaders of today. Sonia Carter put it together along with Mr. Walls like it has never been put together again. Before, it was wonderful. I would like to congratulate all of the contestants because they were all beautiful young ladies. Well, we had a winner down at Oklahoma State University, Marsha Bray. Congratulations, congratulations. Well, it's really interesting. The calls are coming in. Calvin, we've just received some calls, and I would like to read the answers. One person said it was A. Vicenio Johnson, one Hannah Atkins, and one Abram Ross. You are all wrong. Boy, I'm having a time of my life, because if you don't know where you have been, you don't know where you have to go. I asked you a question: who was the first Black that was elected as a state representative in the state of Oklahoma? I want you to know your history. I want you to know your history to such an extent that people will have to say, here's a person that knows his history. I would hate to be jumping up and down thinking I was the first person that had done something only to find out that it had been done before. I would like for you to call me 672-1220 and tell me the name of the first Black representative, state representative in the state of Oklahoma. As we celebrate Black History Month, and it's being celebrated all over the United States, on Monday, February the 15th from 6 to 7:30 p.m., there will be a concert at Ralph Ellison's Library, located at 2000 Northeast 23rd in Oklahoma City. Now, this concert will be a piano and accordion concert along with one of the young ladies that will sing. Now, watch these ages. Nicole Augustine is 10 years old, and Erica Patton, age 8. Now, Nicole will play the piano and accordion, and Erica will sing. Now, this is good news for those of you from Avery Chapel, and those of you from Hoffman, Oklahoma, and those of you that love good music. Now, that's from 6 to 7:30 p.m. On Saturday, February the 27th, there will be the second annual Dave Ross Invitational Speech Tournament at Ralph Ellison's library. And from 1 to 3, they will have a Black Jeopardy for high school students, and you are invited to participate. The answers are coming in. Ben Hill. The answer is no. John B. White. The answer is no. Let me ask my question again. Now, I'm going to take time and ask this question. Who was the first black elected representative for the state of Oklahoma? A black man that was elected, the first one. As we celebrate Black History Week, we've got to remember that the NAACP was born during what is now, its birthday is celebrated during Black History Month. A crowd gathered last night at the Avery Chapel AME Church to celebrate the NAACP's 84th birthday. And it was a celebration. It was a celebration. Sandra Mitchell Jackson presided. There was a procession with all choirs. There was a national anthem that they used to call the Black National Anthem. But today it's an anthem reminding blacks of the road over which they have traveled. Carol Trawick's, who is the chairman of the membership drive, welcomed the people. And then there was music, outstanding music by choirs. Kim Kane was there, Ella Stevenson, the Avery Chapel AME Church, the Northeastern Church of Christ, I cannot name all of them, but I better tell you that Wildwood Christian Church was there, Moon Middle School, Miss Bonnie Jackson, Phyllis Bean, Vicky Monroe. And we're going to make it. It was a wonderful presentation, and some of the speakers were Hattie Jeffries, and Hattie did a beautiful job with Black history. There was Roosevelt Milton, who gave an NAACP update. It was something that was worthwhile, and there was a governor's proclamation that was presented by someone that I will tell you about later. We have a winner. We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. And Calvin, I need to get the name of this winner. I need the name. Hello? Hello? Yes, I need a name. I am so proud of you. I would like for you first to tell me your name.
My name is Norma Goff.
Your name is what?
Norma Goff.
Norma Goff.
Yes.
Where are you from?
I'm from Guthrie, Oklahoma, but I live in Oklahoma City.
Okay, now I know you're talking on a mobile telephone, right?
Yes.
All right, now will you tell 600,000 people that's listening to the Clara Luper radio show who the first black state representative for the state of Oklahoma was?
The first black state representative was A.C. Hamlin of Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Say it again and say it out loud.
A.C. Hamlin of Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Thank you so very kindly. And you will give Calvin some further details, so stay on the line.
All right.
And once again, I want you to say your name again.
My name is Norma Jefferson Goff.
Thank you, Norman Jeffrey Goff, who has won our prize today. You'd be surprised. Well, let's talk about Albert C. Hamlin. Albert C. Hamlin became the first black elected to the House of Representatives in the state of Oklahoma. He was born in Topeka, Kansas on February the 10th, 1881, and I know Calvin loves that because he was born on February the 10th. His parents, Andrew Jackson Hamlin and Fanny Hamlin, were slaves before the Civil War. They came from Tennessee to Kansas in 1880. In 1890, the family left Topeka to homestead a 160-acre farm southeast of Guthrie in Logan County, Oklahoma. Hamlin attended elementary schools in Topeka and in Logan County. His father died in 1891. He continued to work on the farm with his mother while attending school. In 1899, he married Katie Weaver. Hamlin was actively involved in community affairs. He served as a member of the school board for 10 years and as township trustee for Springville for 9 years. On June 20, 1908, a petition was filed to place the name of A.C. Hamlin on the ballot as a Republican candidate for state representative from the 3rd District in Logan County. The petition included the signature of 16 whites. The 3rd District was strongly Republican and predominantly Negro. Hamilton won his election. Now listen to this. Tig Ray, who was also running for the state representative and who was white, received 457 votes. But A.C. Hamlin received 1,116 votes. His election made him the first black in the state legislature, and the Oklahoma City Times reported that he was quiet, dignified, and well informed. A.C. Hamlin, the first black in the state legislature. As a man, A.C. Hamlin was highly respected by his neighbors and fellow legislators. He was a religious man and was active in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. He was very successful as a legislator. He established a record that any freshman legislator could be proud of, regardless of the fact that he was the first black in the state legislature and a member of the minority party. I want you to know he was a Republican. Now you have it. You know the first black person to serve in the Oklahoma State House of Representatives. A.C. Hamlin from Guthrie, Oklahoma. This is a Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is being made possible by Gates Barbershop. Gates Barbershop is located at 2609 North Martin Luther King A. It's a barbershop that's open every day except Sunday and Monday. It's a barbershop where you can feel at home, where you can relax and look at television, where you can meet old friends and make new friends. It's a barbershop where the barbers are looking for you. They want to please you. They want to give you the kind of haircut that will make you beautiful. In fact, it's a sign in that barbershop which says, "We make people beautiful." I want you to go to Gates Barbershop, and when you walk in, when you start going in, I want you to look at the flowers that welcome you. I want you to understand that you are now with class, top class. You are at the Gates Barbershop. It's not surprising that people come from all over Oklahoma to get their hair cut at Gates Barbershop. And I would like to salute all of you in the arena and never miss coming to Gates Barbershop. Shopping for a new automobile or used one, go to Crossroads Chrysler, 201 Southwest 74th Street. That's out on 240 and South Walker. Crossroad Chrysler, 201 Southwest 74th Street. Once again, I would like to invite you to go to Conoco's 36 and Kelly. Not only buy you some gasoline, but get some of that good old chicken, hot links. Oh, go to Conoco's and you can buy food there. You can buy food. Conoco's 36 and Kelly in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Those of you that have not read Behold the Walls by Clara Luper, you may call me at 424-3949 or 672-1220 and tell me you want a copy of Behold the Walls. It only costs $14, but you have not only understanding what happened here in Oklahoma City, but you have plenty of black history in the book, Behold the Walls. The Soul Bazaar will take place on May 14th and 15th, and those of you that would like to participate, whether we are talking about fashion shows, whether we are talking about the bake contest, whether we are talking about essays and what have you, remember the Soul Bazaar is May 14th and 15th, and this will be the 24th annual Soul Bazaar. How many of you have not been to the Soul Bazaar? If you have not been, this is your chance. It will be held at the Marriott Convention Center, May 14th and May 15th. It's time now to talk to you about Black history. Black history is a story. It's a story that must be told. We must take time and we must tell our children. And if we would tell our children about the road over which we have traveled, we wouldn't have all of this gang trouble, because young people would understand their history and they will be singing a song of faith, and they will understand that they have a responsibility. We cannot protect our young people. We can only tell them to know their history and know what has brought them to air-conditioned homes, what has brought them to new automobiles. And they will find that their parents and grandparents were not ganging up, fighting each other. Rather, they were practicing love to each other. Therefore, I would like to remind you, and so many of you call me and say, Clara, you remind us of the same thing every Saturday. You are right. I'm reminding you that you are outdated if you are associating with gangs, because you are headed for a dead-end street, which means that you're not going anywhere. And I'm tired of you young people telling me that all gangs are made by people. Let's form some different kinds of gangs. I can recommend a gang. Let's form a gang and study the cause of sickle cell anemia. Try to find a cure for it. L. Myers. Those of you that live in that area, remember this is the first time, and I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and others that have vowed to help in this effort. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and I want you to stay tuned, because the final minutes of this show will be dedicated in memory of an educator, of a businessman, and of one that has touched all of our lives, David Threet. And I would like to make this announcement before we go into our tribute to David Threet. David's funeral will be on Monday at 11 a.m. at the Tabernacle Baptist Church in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I will be telling you about that later on in our show. Marilyn Hildred has made history. She's the first black female agent for Allstate Insurance Company in Oklahoma. She's one of the top agents, and you have made that possible because you have thrown your arms around her and you said, Marilyn, I know you're good. I know you're the best, and I want you to be my insurance agent. Marilyn says she doesn't want everybody, she just wants yours. But I think the greatest thing that Marilyn has done is been able to bring others in. And I would like to talk about another one of my favorite Allstate agents, Harold Ford. Now, Harold Ford is a great agent, and he would appreciate your business. Now, remember that. Harold Ford. Now, I've given you two great Allstate agents, Marilyn Hildred and Harold Ford. Both of them are the best. Clara Luper reporting on KTLV in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. This is our Black History Special. And this morning we told you the name of the first black state representative. And next week we are going to ask you another question and see how well you're educating yourself. I don't want you to tell me, well, Miss Luper, they don't teach that in my school. Well, one thing I can tell you, They don't teach the kind of dancing you young people do in the schools, but I notice you know it, and if you get ready to learn anything, you can certainly learn it. Here's a special invitation to you. On Sunday, February the 21st, you are invited to worship at the 5th Street Baptist Church. You are invited to be there at 11 a.m. to hear a special Black History message. Then you are invited to come back at 3:30. At 3:30, 5th Street Baptist Church will present a Black History special. You are invited. Now that's at 801 Northeast 5th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Of Black History special. And I can tell you one thing, you have never seen a Black History program like the one you will see at 5th Street Baptist Church, 801 Northeast to 5th Street at exactly 3:30 p.m. You will see it, a passageway through history. And I will be telling you more about the program next week. You are invited. And I would certainly like to thank Gary Gibbs from OU, those fine football players who will be part of the people that will be celebrating Black History at 5th Street Baptist Church. Although Mr. Gibbs will not be there, I do have a congratulatory message, and I would like to thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Your other people will be there. I would like to thank those of you that have had anything to do with Black History, and you are invited. Sometimes I think that we don't show our people off enough, and I was proud last night to see Willard Moore and Ira Holmes, those pioneers, so honored. I was really proud of it. If you don't honor your people that have made the way, I don't know. This Black History special has been brought to you by Gates Barbershop, A.L. Dial, Hometown IGA, and this part of it is brought to you by Edwards Redeemer, 1530 Northeast Grand Boulevard, here in Oklahoma City, a place where you know you will be taken care of. Edwards Redeemer. You may call 424-2273, but I would rather for you to go out there. Calvin is coming in. He has some questions, and I know what those questions are about. Norman, Oklahoma. Calvin, I know exactly what you're going to ask me because I've been swamped with calls all of this week. Okay, I'm ready.
Well, not only have you been swamped with calls, but you've been swamped with calls out here. I especially like to thank everyone for their participation in your Black History lesson. It kind of got humorous there, especially when they called and said Abram Ross. I thought that was really exciting. But then things have been happening all week, and I couldn't help but notice that on Tuesday, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, I'm just casually reading the paper, and lo and behold, I see something about the comments that Clara Luper made. And these comments were concerning the Norman school system celebrating the Martin Luther King holiday. Now, the writer asked the question, what does Clara want? And I think the writer said, we teach about Martin Luther King. We participated in the Oklahoma City March. We had 2 buses of youth to come. What does Clara Luper and that NACP Youth Council, I think it just said, what does Clara Luper want? Now, I just could hardly wait to ask you this question, Mom. What are your comments, seriously, and would you repeat them again, about the Norman school system celebrating the Martin Luther King holiday?
I spoke what I thought, and I still think it. I think that the Norman school system is not living up to what is expected of a school system of that quality and quantity. They say they celebrated Martin Luther King's birthday, but what they didn't say in that article, that they did not declare it as a holiday and close the school doors. And that's what I want. It's a national holiday and should be celebrated as such. Now, some of you have called me and said, Clara, I don't see why you're fussing about Norman, Oklahoma, where they brought 2 busloads of students here. But let's look at Norman, Oklahoma. They have 11,996 students. Let me repeat that. 11,996 students, and then they say to me, we brought 2 bus loads, and we celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday all of the time. Well, certainly as a fellow educator, I'm not disputing their words. I'm only saying that it's a federal holiday. And if it's a federal holiday, it's either recognized as one or not. I want to see the doors of that school closed. I want to see the young people, the teachers and the administrators joining in a movement to build bridges across racial barriers. Now, I have talked this week to practically everybody in that normal school system because, I'm not scared. I'm from Hoffman, Oklahoma. And I told them, I said, well, maybe I'm wrong about you. Maybe you are celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday in a different way. And therefore, I want you to furnish me the following information. I need to know how many black administrators we have in Norman, Oklahoma. I need to know how many black teachers we have in Norman, Oklahoma. I need to know how many counselors we have. I need to know how many bus drivers, how many cooks, how many secretaries. Maybe you are celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday by showing off that you are an integrated school system, not only with the 914 black students, not only, I don't know whether you have 914, not only with the black students, the Hispanics, the Indians. I want to know how many Indian professors do you have there? Are you an integrated school system? Now, Martin Luther King had a dream, and his dream, 100 years later, what a dream. He had a dream that blacks and whites would sit down together at the table of brotherhood. And that table could be at the principal's meeting. And they told me, Calvin, that they had finished the calendar for 1994. And I asked the question, what calendar? Since when did the calendar committee run a school? I want to know who are members of the calendar committee. I need to know how many blacks are on the calendar committee. I need to know how many Indians, how many Hispanics on the calendar committee. Calvin, I am not playing. NACP is not playing. We want these educated bigots, so-called educated bigots. Now, I'm saying that. Nobody else is saying it. I'm saying it. That's what I think. Because to me, a bigot is a bigot, whether he's educated or uneducated.
I just wanted to ask the question, and I asked the question again, and that way all of us would know better, and they couldn't say that they just heard about it, because I know if they don't understand that answer, their understanding is really gone. And, but they won't have to ask that question ever again.
Well, once again, let me tell you something. What we've got to do, and I'm talking to these grinning, educated blacks that are grinning, saying everything is all right. Now let's look at the history of America. Anytime you have a group of people that have worked 246 years without a payday, 99 years under legal segregation, people that wasn't even considered, and since the history is so important, and since Martin Luther King holiday gives us an opportunity to say to America, America, we are ready now. We are ready to march in the 21st century because Martin Luther King was a great American. And we are ready to honor him. Now, many of you have written me letters and say that you've said to me, you've said, Clara, I will never celebrate a black person's birthday. Well, to you, I say, you are drunk with racism, and you don't know. You don't even understand what a black person is. You can't even describe a black person. You said you would not do it, but I can tell you one thing. I'm going to Mustang, I'm going to Putnam City, and Putnam City might not have had school, but the teachers were there, and that's faking it. And I think that if we can celebrate anything else, we can all join. Now, we got to build some bridges. White folks are going to have to take the lead because black people have been there. They didn't discriminate against us in the Gulf. They didn't discriminate against us at Pearl Harbor when one of the greatest Americans, Dory Miller, saved this country. And we just can't take no stuff. And I noticed last night, and I want to say this in the NACP crowd, I didn't see our elected officials. I didn't see elected officials. I didn't see those people that are living good on affirmative action. I went into an affirmative action meeting, and I've never seen so many people that are practicing affirmative action on their jobs, but I never see them out here where life is hard, where life is deep. And affirmative action grew out of NACP and NACP's dreams. Don't let anybody fool you. This is the Clara Luper radio show. And let's look at 100 years later. 100 years later. This is 100 years later. I don't know whether we have that all clued up, but I do know that 100 years later, we are still not free. But we are going to be free someday. We are going to be free. This is the Clara Luper radio show. This is it. 100 years later. We are ready. We are ready. And I want you to stay tuned, because Clara Luper is going to do a special in memory of David Threet. And I want you to stay tuned. This is the Clara Luper radio show. This is the Clara Luper radio show.
On September the 22nd, 1862 to be exact, a great and noble American, Abraham Lincoln, signed an executive order which was to take effect on January the 1st, 1863. This executive order was called the Emancipation Proclamation. It served to free the Negro from the bondage of physical slavery. But 100 years later, the Negro in the United States of America still isn't free. But now, more than ever before, America is forced to grapple with this problem, for the shape of the world today does not afford us the luxury of an anemic democracy. The price that this nation must pay for the continued oppression and exploitation of the Negro or any other minority group is the price of its own destruction, for the hour is late. The clock of destiny is ticking out, and we must act now before it is too late. The events of Birmingham, Alabama, and the more than 60 communities that have started protest movements since Birmingham are indicative of the fact that the Negro is now determined to be free. For Birmingham tells us something in glaring terms. It says first that the Negro is no longer willing to accept racial segregation in any of its dimensions. We have come to see that segregation is not only sociologically untenable, it is not only politically unsound, It is morally wrong and sinful. Segregation is a cancer in the body politic which must be removed before our democratic health can be realized.
Heard Martin Luther King Jr. So did David Threet. David Threet loved Martin Luther King and the principles that he stood for. And he was one of the soldiers for freedom. He was born on June 15, 1914 in a little town known as Harpersville, Alabama. He was one of 7 children born to Alberta and Allen Threet. Some say that he was born with a love of freedom in his soul. The family moved to Oklahoma, to a small town known as Luper, Oklahoma. There he grew up. There he attended elementary and high school. And then after finishing high school in Luther, he went to Langston University and loved Langston University with a passion. Not only that, David Threet was happy when the doors of opportunity opened through the leadership of the NACP. He earned his Master's of Arts degree in vocational education from Oklahoma State University. And then he went into the field of education. He taught automobile body and fender repair at I M Terra High School in Fort Worth, Texas. And Mr. F.D. Moon convinced him to come to Oklahoma City, where he worked at Douglas High School and U.S. Grant High School. David Threet served his community in interior designing and furniture upholstery. He taught young people a trade. Believing in the philosophy of Booker T. Washington, you must learn to use your hands along with your head. David Threet was the educator's educator. For 35 years, he stood in the classrooms of Oklahoma, teaching hundreds of young people a better way of life. Yes, David Threet was also a family man. He married Mildred Thomas. 4 children was born. And then after her passing, he married Irma Brown King. To talk about David Threet, one must talk about first his religious beliefs. He learned about the Savior of the world in Luther, Oklahoma, and was a member of the First Baptist Church and grew up in the church. And when he came to Oklahoma City, he became a member of the Tabernacle Baptist Church, where he continued to make his personal commitment to the Christian faith. David Threet was active in many community and civic organizations, including the Urban League, the NACP, the Safe Place, and the Lincoln Terrace Neighborhood Association. He was a member of the Oklahoma City chapter of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity for 50 years. He was also a member of the Prince Hall Masonic Lodge, number 13 in Luther, Oklahoma, a real commitment. He was a member of the OEA. And most of all, you say to me, Clara, how do you remember David Threet? I remember David Threet because he served on the executive board of the NACP for many years and was faithful, always on time, and time to him was an important element. I knew David Threet as a chairperson of the voters registration drive. Oh, how he would drive his little truck, park and get out his map and say, you've got to register to vote. You've got to register. You've got to register now. I saw him setting up voters registration stations in front of grocery stores the corner of streets, and at Freedom Center. Voters registration, the quickest way to freedom, David Threet said, was by way of the ballot box. And he worked so hard to elect candidates that he felt would do a better job for the community. A few weeks ago, David came to Freedom Center. He looked at the monument, the Black History Monument, and stood there with tears in his eyes and spoke to Portwood Williams and I. Then he came in, he said, Clara, I got something else I want you to do. He looked at that garden and he described how he wanted that garden fixed. He stated that we would have to pave it so people would not bog down in mud. And he said, Miss Luper, I wish I could do more to help you, but I'm sick. I'm sick, Mrs. Luper. But I just thank God that I've lived to see that Black History Monument. He had given us a check in order to finish the job. Sick, tired, but carrying on a commitment. And he loved those young people with a passion. Many times he would just watch them as they would speak and he would encourage them. Yes, he loved Freedom Center. He loved the NACP. He loved the children that he had taught that he calls his children. But today, his two sons, Charles David Threet of Norfolk, Virginia, and Maurice Threet of Sacramento, California, have a legacy. His two daughters, Zelma and Vita, have a legacy. His stepdaughters, Sonia and Laverne, have a legacy. Yes, David Threet was a teacher's teacher. And he was so fortunate because David had 5 brothers, came out of a large family of 11. Allen II of Spencer, Alonian Threet of Oklahoma City, Landers of Los Angeles, Edmund of Luther, and Renfro of Sacramento. He was so fortunate, and he loved his sisters. He would talk about Lavinia of Oklahoma City, Mayola, and Francis. He loved his sisters. He loved his family. He loved his children. But David Threet has gone home to receive his award. And let me say about this. He was at his finest hour at all times. He was not simply a witness to history. He was a part of it. He helped to shape it. He set a standard of professionalism upon which we can ride. He researched his life, and his life was Christ-like. He had a gift for building consensus and for selling ideas. And Maurice told me about how he used to sit and watch the park and talk about trees. And the day he died, trees were brought in to that park. And I do hope that that park's name will be the David Threet's Park. This is Clara Luper. Also received word that Hazel Horn, a former principal in Oklahoma City, is dead, and we'll be telling you more about that. In the meantime, let us look to heaven now. Let us thank God that we had the opportunity to know David Threet. Clara Luper saying, wherever you are and whatever you do, remember that we got to love each other because there's no other way. Bye-bye, and have a great weekend.
The station where you hear the word and song, KTLV, AM 1220, Midwest City, Oklahoma City.